I moved it.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah.
Good afternoon and welcome to our annual Barnraiser Award. My name is Lynn Haverhill. I'm editor-in-chief of the Waterloo Region Record. We're here today to pay tribute to House of Friendship, an organization that has just celebrated 75 years of service to our community. We're thrilled that you could join us in this lovely setting on this beautiful day to pay tribute to this organization in a place that is built to pay tribute to innovators, builders, and great thinkers. If you've not had a chance to tour the exhibits here, feel free to take a self-guided tour after luncheon today. They welcome all of us to do that if we have time. We have a great cross-section of community leaders gathered for our celebration today, including former and current elected officials from all levels of government, business leaders, entrepreneurs, representatives from our universities and college, people involved in social causes, and the arts and culture sectors. We also have several former Barnraisers here, and I'd like you to stand up, please, so that we can recognize the work that you continue to do for our community. Come on, Roger and Ginny and but Joe is at the front, and Joe is available for photo ops. So our hashtag, I should mention, is Record Barnraiser is our hashtag. So if you and Joe want to do some photo ops, please send that out to all your social networks. I would like to thank our symphony quartet musicians, Lance Hulette, Alain Chaumin, Martha Kalniak, and Chris Sharp for providing that lovely music. And please stay and join us for lunch. I'd also like to thank WR Designs for the colorful table, flowers, and I'll have more to say about that at the end. And finally, thanks to Devin Moriarty, who's right over there, who just took this on this year with us, and she's done a wonderful job. Thank you very much. We have photos and displays playing on the screens at the front and at the back with our former award winners on there. We have awarded the Barnraiser honor each year since 2007 as a way of celebrating leadership in our community. We created it in response to a challenge that was issued by David Johnson, who was then president of the University of Waterloo. Today he's Governor General of Canada. Some years the recipient has been an individual, other years it's an organization. And for our judges, it's both invigorating and challenging to pick each year's Barnraiser. I would like to thank our judges for their thoughtful deliberation again this year. If you please would stand, Carol Jankowski, Melinda Marks, Jan Varner, who could not be here, and Paul Eichinger. Thank you very much for their work and their insight. As the judges reviewed the House of Friendship nomination, it was obvious that this is a group that is successful because of the many people who've been committed to building it over the past 75 years. Letters of support and testimonials told heartwarming stories of the help that has been provided to those in need. I wanted to share just a couple excerpts from those testimonials, and I'm quoting, "Whether it is addressing addictions issues or providing supportive housing, or packing and distributing Christmas hampers, or any number of other undertakings, House of Friendship is there, partnering, cooperating to get the job done. It works quietly, consistently, often almost unseen, to promote the well-being of our entire community." Another supporter wrote, "While it is regrettable that these services are needed in our community, I'm so grateful that individuals, places of worship, and corporations have stepped up to provide the necessary funding for the operations of House of Friendship. More importantly, the staff and volunteers of House of Friendship have selflessly given of their time, talent, expertise, and energy so that guests can feel their compassion. And that compassion is required to bring comfort to their lives." Now, there's just a couple of the comments we received from people who know and applaud the work of House of Friendship. As you can see from your agendas, we're going to hear from a few more people today as we celebrate House of Friendship. Our first speaker is Jim Erb, Director of Erb and Good Family Funeral Home. Jim submitted the nomination package along with a multitude of support letters. Jim has a long history with House of Friendship and wrote about the balance of tradition, dedication, and innovation that defines House of Friendship. So I'd call on Jim now to share his thoughts on this year's Barnraiser.
Thank you, Lynn. Good afternoon, friends. I was going to remind people that I needed the flowers back by 2 o'clock, but 2 days When I was a young lad of 12, I would visit the House of Friendship on most Sundays. My uncle was the director of the House of Friendship, and he and his family lived on the 3rd floor of the hostel on Charles Street. The Sunday routine seldom changed. Church, lunch at my grandparents' home in Waterloo, and then off to the House of Friendship. Our family would help my aunt and uncle peel potatoes and carrots, cut corn off the husk, help fold bed sheets, all in anticipation of the coming week. Mabel Steinman was the cook, calm, unassuming, and fully dedicated to what she considered her call to serve. I well remember the large containers on her stove, bubbling and steaming as she prepared and preserved food for the coming week. I had the pleasure of reconnecting with Mabel many years later through my work. After she retired, Mabel was a volunteer in the kitchen, where else? At her church, where she helped to prepare funeral lunches. And I can confirm that as a charter member of the funeral director's tasting circuit in church basements, she made some of the best egg salad sandwiches saved at the service. Same hospitality I experienced at the House of Friendship. Growing up in the security of the small village of Wellesley, I remember being so surprised that there were people who didn't have a place called home, get a warm meal, or have a bed to sleep in at night. And it made a lasting impression on me. Fast forward 60 plus years, close to my age. I'm no longer living in a small village, but now in a big city where we see people sleeping on the streets. The need is now just a little bit more public. They're dressed the same as the men I observed when I was 12, and in many respects, it seems that things have not changed. However, most important for me is that the mission of the House of Friendship has not changed. It's remained the same, and it's even stronger. House of Friendship is a pillar of compassion in our community. Its core values of compassion, inclusion, dignity, justice, and hope continue to bring people together to extend the hand of welcome to our neighbors. It's such a simple concept, one that is relevant in today's complex world, just as it was when I was 12 years old. As I've contemplated volunteer opportunities over the years, there have been 3 questions that I've always asked myself where I want to commit my time and resources. Does the organization provide food when people are hungry or don't have the money? Will they supply a bed if there is no place for them that is safe to sleep? And is the table big enough to welcome everyone? Well, we're all here today because we know the House of Friendship meets and surpasses these 3 basic human rights that we need to extend to everyone in our community. And who, not because of their personal choice, but because of circumstances they cannot control, are dependent on organizations like the House of Friendship and you and me to have a hands up in our community. And so on behalf of all of us and the larger community, I want to say thank you to Joe, who began House of Friendship 75 years ago. Mabel Steinman, my Uncle Orville and Aunt Doris, all those who have volunteered and worked through the House of Friendship over the years. In particular, I want to acknowledge and say thank you to some of my best friends who are now staff members and volunteers at the House of Friendship. They now willingly carry the torch and the vision that Jill began 75 years ago by showing the compassion, modeling what it means for all of us to be inclusive, honoring dignity, honoring those and advocating for justice, delivering hope, and most important for all of us, I hope, serving a simple plate of hot food, offering a warm bed, and having a table big enough to welcome all.
Thanks very much, Jim. You're staying till the end, I know, so you may yet get to take home that floral scepter. So fingers crossed. Our next speaker is Mary Jo Fetty with KPMG LLP. Mary Jo's letter of support was extensive, providing lots of examples of ways that House of Friendship meets all 10 of the goals set for Waterloo Region to become Canada's knowledge capital. Mary Jo, would you join me, please?
And I noticed that they put the accountant on the agenda between the funeral director and the reverend. I guess somewhere between death and divinity is the right place. Jim, I returned my flower already. So first of all, I would like to say congratulations to the Barnraiser Award nominating committee. I sure got this pick right. Judging from the members who sit on that committee, what I would say is it takes one to know one. I'd also like to thank the Waterloo Region Record under the leadership of Lynn Hadrow for picking up what David Johnson put on the table, and that is to recognize and celebrate success. Success shared is so much sweeter, and it's like rocket fuel in terms of motivation for everyone else to get involved and stay involved. And I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize and thank Jim Erg for his nomination of the House of Friendship. KPMG simply rode on your coattails. And by the way, is there anything Jim Erg isn't involved in? You are remarkable. No wonder you deal in the death business, the living can't keep up to you. So I have been asked to say a few very brief words about KPMG's involvement with the House of Friendship. Our community leadership strategy at KPMG involves selecting a strategic partner organization. And at KPMG in Waterloo, we selected the House of Friendship. And I can explain why in 2 words: John Newfeld. And while I appreciate today's Barnraiser Award acknowledges the House of Friendship, volunteers, donors, patrons, community partners, and team members, not just John, I strongly believe that every successful organization, the tone is set at the top. John is the modern-day Joseph Kramer. When I first sat down with John to discuss our strategic partnership, he didn't respond with, "What can KPMG do for the House of Friendship?" But instead, he asked, "What can the House of Friendship do for KPMG?" You had me at hello. He got the fact that corporate philanthropy is as much about the check that you write as it is about engaging with the people of that corporation. Since that first meeting, John has motivated employees of KPMG Waterloo to be the organizing committee and presenting sponsor of Trek for Kids, to plan, prepare, and serve lunch at the annual House of Friendship staff retreat, to mobilize 12 teams to deliver holiday food hampers, to partner with the House of Friendship on the United Way Day of Caring to build a shed, beautify a shelter, or develop the community garden, to chair the property committee of the board of directors, and to be the first sponsor to jump on skates for the Hockey for the Homeless. You cannot say no to John Neufeld. We at KPMG are very proud of our strategic partnership with the House of Friendship, and even as accountants, we cannot measure the return on our investment, other than to say it's priceless. So John and your entire team, congratulations from all your friends at KPMG on raising a barn in so many ways, and I'd ask that you come forward. For those of you that don't know, the Waterloo Region Record has a wonderful service where you can take any page from the newspaper and have it mounted in frames. So we got this for you, which is the announcement that went in the paper the day the award was announced.
Thanks very much, Mary Jo. We do plan every detail. Speaking order was planned. We didn't quite see it the way you did, but I'm glad it worked out. Our next speaker is Reverend John Lackey, Director of Spiritual Care at Grand River Hospital. Now, I actually know Reverend Lackey from a former life. We were both in Kingston, and I was going to avoid that joke about we both did time in Kingston. I do know the great work that he did in Kingston before coming here, and so it was a wonderful thing for this community when Reverend Lackey came here. His letter of support spoke of ways in which the House of Friendship has helped people in a very personal way. So I would call on Reverend Lackey now to say a few words.
Madam Editor, and thank you to you and all the hosts today, and hopefully here are a few divine words. As one of the chaplains at the Grand River Hospital and Regional Cancer Center, I'm delighted to echo Jim's nomination and this celebration. This 75th anniversary year of the House seems especially auspicious, and by the way, I just call it the House. I think others do too. My contact with them in the past year is illustrative of their barn-raising qualities. From their partnership with the region of Waterloo, YWCA, the Working Centre, and faith communities, among others, in response to the evolution of the Out of the Cold program locally on the homelessness issue, to their ongoing food and community programs across the region, the House literally raises roofs among or for many vulnerable people, let alone raising their spirits. It is reassuring to the client and caregivers like me alike when the men's hostel is a transitional housing option. We hear about it in the Emerge Room, for instance. I often think of the House when I think of a patient who had been at the hospital, who was staying with them at the hostel, and their family member had died. And one of his greatest concerns was he didn't have a suit to wear to the funeral. And by supper time, he had a well-fitting suit, and when he came down to the dining room, they prepared a special meal for him and arranged for a ride over to the funeral home. He went on to participate in their addiction programs, and I tried to track him down before I came today. I wasn't able, but I gather he's doing well. A lesser known but integral part of the House is its partnership with other local agencies. The ability for them to provide healthy leftovers from a catered meal, and we have some of those at the hospital at times, and we can deliver those items to that back entrance on Charles Street, and they are shared there or shared with other agencies. It's just the good stewardship that they model. And of course, there is the annual turkey drive in partnership with the Kitchener-Conestoga Rotary Club. As an aspect of the House serving increasingly the diversity of our local community, I had the privilege to deliver one of those hampers like the KPMG team we heard about, and it was to the family, a Muslim family, and I remember the teenager at the door smiling when I said, "And this is a coupon for halal chickens." She was delighted, and I was proud to be a part of that in some small way. Their name and their logo says it all. A House of Friendship, a handshake in partnership of outreach and advocacy, hospitality, recovery, and community building. You are Barnraisers indeed. Thank you.
guest speaker is Joe Mancini, director of the Working Center. Joe and the Working Center got some great news this week too, with the announcement of some major funding for their housing projects. So congratulations. House of Friendship has worked closely with the Center over the years, and Joe is going to share his thoughts on that relationship.
Thank you, Lynn. John kind of dared me to say, if I had $1 million, I'd buy 4-plex, 6-plex, 256 king, and create 15 to 19 social housing units, supported social housing units. So it's kind of, it is kind of neat to have that ability to create housing. No, that's not what we're talking about here, because we're really talking about the House of Friendship. And, you know, the House of Friendship has been doing this good work in downtown Kitchener for 75 years. Now, I've really only got to know the House of Friendship in its 40th year. So I'm going to keep my comments to the most recent 35 years. You know, the museum really is an appropriate place to honor the House of Friendship. You know, when we first started understanding the House of Friendship, this is in the 1980s, we thought that it had come on the Conestoga wagons with the first Mennonite settlers. It seemed like it had been here forever. But the real reason I'm talking today is really to talk about the work that's been done to build access to food, especially really throughout the region, but especially in downtown. Nothing is more important to the life of the Working Center than when Martin Pure at the Downtown Core Area Ministry Committee recommended to that committee that the Working Center establish a meal service in downtown Kitchener. Bryce Balmer was a big part of that effort. St. John's Kitchen was established not more than 2 months later. The importance of House of Friendship support was immeasurable. Bryce and Martin knew what we were experiencing as well, that hundreds of individuals were not able to access a daily meal. And the work that went into creating St. John's Kitchen couldn't have happened unless the strength of the House of Friendship that stood behind that idea. There were people that were not exactly in favor of it, but today, when those 300 meals are served each day in downtown, and we know that people get a daily meal, a hot and nutritious meal, we know that the roots of that come from this organization that we're recognizing today. But there's more to that. At the same time, Martin was leading the effort to establish the food bank. It started in the basement of one of the Charles Street houses. Its first staff was a House of Friendship worker on an MCC volunteer placement. Martin invited the fledgling St. John's Kitchen onto the founding committee. That's how I got to know how that was going, or what it was. And you could see that to get the food bank off the ground was not just some easy thing. It didn't just happen. There was a lot of persistence to do that groundwork. And the food bank was literally brought into existence by the House of Friendship. And then there's more. The Guelph Street location was purchased for expanding the hamper program. You can put the pieces together, supporting St. John's Kitchen, helping to establish the Food Bank of Waterloo Region, and creating a food distribution program at Guelph Street. These may seem like band-aids, but these are essential elements for dealing with hunger in our city. And that's really the legacy of the House of Friendship when it comes to food in our region. You know, that alone is worth the Barnraiser Award. But then you look at Evie Village, celebrating its 25th year, probably without a mortgage. It's a rich resource for supportive housing. So is Charles Village, right beside it. The House of Friendship even shares its directors. Martin, in retirement, went on to start Menno Homes. And Deb Schlechter brings her grassroots experience to leading regional Waterloo housing. And now, you know, we're 35 years later, the House of Friendship and the Working Center continue to cooperate. We've been working on a string of dry houses. John wants to franchise this idea. But I keep telling him, no, John, we gotta go slower. We gotta think we gotta make this thing really stick. But you know, he's new. He's not as old as he is. Well, congratulations to the House of Friendship. You know, barn building is building community. It's putting in place essential services that help people overcome barriers. That is the work of the House of Friendship, and congratulations on this very well-deserved award.
Thanks very much, Joe. Now, before I present the Barnraiser Award to the House of Friendship, I have one more commendation to pass along, and it's a special one. I'm going to quote directly. I am delighted to congratulate the staff and supporters of House of Friendship, this year's Barnraiser Award recipient. The Barnraiser Award was established to recognize outstanding community building efforts in Waterloo Region, and the House of Friendship is a most deserving recipient. For 75 years, the organization's core values of compassion, inclusion, justice, dignity, and hope have underpinned its efforts to provide needed social support in the community. Thanks to the remarkable hard work and dedication of House of Friendship staff and volunteers, more than 42,000 people in Waterloo Region annually access programs ranging from housing and family services to food hampers and addiction treatment. Having spent some wonderful years in Waterloo Region, I am well aware of the important role House of Friendship plays in this community. To its many supporters, I offer my sincere thanks and congratulations on receiving this award. Signed, David Johnson, the Governor-General of Canada. And now it's time to call upon John Neufeld, Executive Director, House of Friendship, to accept the 2014 Barnraiser Award. I do want to say, though, as Mary Jo mentioned, that although John prefers to stay in the background, you'll notice that on that picture that was in the newspaper, he chose to put other people in that picture. He was not in that picture. John has been a driving force behind the recent success of House of Friendship. And while this is an award for an organization, I didn't want to lose sight of the fact that one of the key factors in any success is the leadership behind it. John is a true leader. His passion and his commitment for community service are unparalleled, and they are to be commended. So now, John, please join me. I need to go. Got a little something else up my sleeve here. Really nice wrapping.
Oh, thank you very much.
This is the commendation from the Governor-General.
When I first shared, when the record first released the Barnraiser Award on December 13th, Saturday morning as I'm making breakfast, and my son is sitting there, and I turned the paper over to him, I said, look what House of Friendship has received. And he said, what is this Barnraiser thing? And I said, well, just read below the picture, it explains it fairly clearly. He said, Dad, do you get wads of cash for this award or not? I said, well, son, no, that's not kind of what the Barnraiser is for. But anyways, at 11 years old, I have a few things to teach in my own household about barn raising. It is incredibly humbling to stand here before you on behalf of House of Friendship, and also because of the four individuals that I am following. Each of them could be the next four barn raisers as far as I'm concerned. Let me start with Jim Erb. I'm incredibly grateful that Uncle Orville took you in on Sundays and had you peeling potatoes. I think it's there that Uncle Orville probably taught you one of life's most important lessons. It is only through serving others that we truly find joy in our own lives. Your uncle would be in awe if he saw how much community building that you've done, Jim, over your time and continue to do both at House of Friendship and the broader community. MJ Fady, a true visionary corporate leader who understands that corporations have a much broader responsibility than just to the bottom line, that they have a key role to play in the social sphere of our communities, and I'm incredibly grateful for the invaluable partnership that we have with House of Friendship, with KPMG. John Lackey represents the best in our community. Without a lot of fanfare, quietly, unassumingly, in the background, he provides spiritual care to all of us in our greatest time of need and crisis, when there's health care, crisis, death, or loss. And you've been a vital support to the individuals that we serve. So thank you, John. Lastly, Joe Mancini. How do you describe Joe? A little bit, a dose of creativity, a little innovation, with a small dose of rebellion. But what would our community be without Joe and Steph Mancini and the Working Center? We have an incredible working partnership with the Working Center, for which we are grateful and look forward to doing much more in the coming years. There was 18 other folks that were kind enough to provide supporting letters, and I want to say thank you. Many of you are here, you know who you are. Thank you for writing those letters. They were very kind and very generous and inspiring. Thank you to the Records Nomination and Barnraiser Nominations Committee for believing what was in those letters. And also thank you to the Record. You probably didn't know how perfect today that you picked the date was. For those of you who don't know, House of Friendship was officially dedicated on a Sunday afternoon in 1939 on January the 15th. So, Lynn knew that, and she planned this all out. And so in the name of efficiency and cost savings, we're using this event as our official 76th birthday. Thank you to the Record for footing the bill, inviting such a beautiful group of individuals to celebrate with, and so thank you for joining us for our birthday party as well. In reflecting on the Barnraiser, Nelson Mandela's quote came to mind immediately, and I paraphrase it a little bit. We have walked that long road to freedom. We have tried not to falter. We have made missteps along the way. But we have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. We have taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds us, to look back on the distance we have come, but we can rest only for a moment, for with freedom comes responsibilities, and we dare not linger, for our walk is not yet ended. That is the gift of the Barnraiser Award. It gives us a moment to rest, well, at least an hour, and steal a view of the glorious community that we are surrounded by, and look back on the distance that we have come, and most importantly, to say thank you to each of you for helping us get here. As we look back a little over 75 years ago, we find a group of women, part of an interdenominational prayer group, who came together and asked the two fundamental questions of barn raising. What does our community need? What can we do? What does our community need? What can we do? Does it need lumber? Does it need a roof? Does it need food prepared? How can each one of us, with our unique talents, come together to build this barn? So these women recognized that they could not do everything, but they recognized there was a significant need in our community during the 30s due to economic hardships. A lot of men found themselves homeless and back then referred to as transients and hobos and had nowhere to go. They couldn't do everything, but they could invite them in and offer them a seat at the table. That seat at the table once served 10 to 15 gentlemen with a warm meal. Today, House of Friendship has the privilege of serving over 42,000 people annually through addictions treatment, housing, food provision, and community development. How did we get here? Through the barn-raising efforts of so many. First came the faith communities to the table, who got behind the mission and supported the work immediately. 75 years later, the support of numerous faith communities continues to be strong. A number of you here today are here in that capacity, representing different faith communities. Maybe you're doing that through your service on the board, both in the past and present, and we want to say a very big thank you to you. With the faith communities came a number of volunteers. Today we are blessed to have over 1,000 volunteers that volunteer with us annually in helping carrying out the vision and the mission. Our volunteers don't just show up, they truly share generously of their time, talents, and treasures. So a big thank you to all the volunteers that are here with us today. Shortly after that, the city was approached and asked for some funding, to which they responded positively. That one partnership, right from the beginning, has led to incredibly vital partnerships that continue till today. Now partnerships with both cities, the region of Waterloo, provincial and federal government, the Waterloo-Wellington-Lynn. All of those, without those partners, we could not do the work that we do. And I want to thank each of you who are representing different parts of those partners for helping us build the barns that you've helped us build over time. We couldn't have done it without you. With those partnerships, we became incredibly blessed with the elected officials we have in this community at all levels of government. I have said this wherever I go, that we have the privilege in our community to have the best elected officials anywhere at all levels. I've got to know a number of them, handed out turkeys out of freezing trucks with some of them, and you learn a lot about the kind of people that serve our community. They do it thanklessly, they're there at all times, they're motivated for all the right reasons, and we can't do it without them. So for all the elected officials that are here today, thank you for your tireless efforts that you provide for our community. And then, as Joe alluded, came the myriad of partnerships with other community organizations, community partners. We simply can't do this work on our own, but boy do we have a lot of fun doing it together. So those of you here representing the different organizations that we partner with, a heartfelt thank you for your support, your vision, your challenges, your willingness to innovate with us. So thank you. Through all this, beginning with Ilda Bauman and Joe Kramer, there have been hundreds, actually thousands of individuals who have served at HOF over 75 years. Thank you to each of you who served in the past and built the foundations for which we are presently serving with. And now for those of you who are presently serving, it is a gift to serve. With the team members at HOF. They are all in and take the vision of a healthy community where all can belong and thrive very seriously. They're nuts. I feel incredibly blessed to serve with them, and they go the extra mile every day, and our community wouldn't be what it was if it wasn't for them. So a special thank you to them. Lastly, and most importantly, are the individuals and families that we have served over the past 75 years. Our lives have been enriched as we have become a part of each other's narratives. May we always hold the individuals we serve at the center of everything we do. So thank you to all of you for helping us build so many different barns over the past 75 years. But now the question is, what barns have we still not built in this community and that we need to build? And 75 years from now, when another group gathers here, what will they say about what we've built together? What did we build to address the important needs of supportive housing in our community? What did we build for individuals battling chronic mental health and addictions? What did we build to ensure food security for our neighbors? And what did we build to welcome newcomers to Canada? What did we build to ensure that our citizens feel that they belong? In closing, I want to quote former Governor General Adrienne Clarkson, who just did a CBC Massey Lectures on belonging and the importance of it. She wrote, the book was just released, called Belonging, the Paradox of Citizenship. I encourage all of you to read it. It gives you a new perspective on belonging, and it'll make you proud to be Canadian. So I leave you with this quote. What is the paradox of citizenship? It is that we are most fully human, most truly ourselves, most authentically individual when we commit to the community. It is in the mirror of our community, the street, the neighborhood, the town, the country, that we find our best selves. The dream of the citizen is the dream of a better world, with all its frailty, confusion, ambiguity, and hope. It's our turn to add to that story, to imagine the future of the citizen into being. And so with that, I look forward, with all of you here, to move into the next 75 years, to continue to ensure that everyone in our community can belong and thrive. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to everyone involved with House of Friendship on your birthday and on receiving the Barnraiser. We're really happy that so many community leaders could be here today to share in this celebration. We look forward to seeing all of the work that you're going to continue doing in our community as well. Now, Jim, this is where you have to really pay attention. So we have a parting gift for one lucky person at each table. If you are the person at the table who has your birthday on July 1st, which is Canada Day, then you get to take that home, or the birthday closest to Canada Day. I don't know when your birthday is, Jim, but...
June the 29th.
June the 29th, he's good. He's good. We want to say birth certificate. Anyway, thank you very much for coming today. We really love putting on this event. We really love celebrating success. And I want to say congratulations once again to everyone involved. In fact, I would love for the people who are directly involved with House of Friendship to stand up right now and let's give them one round of applause. Have a great day, safe trips home, and we will see you next year. Thank you very much.